It just suggests to me that yet again, here is a very deep hole that Libya is about to fall down.
No, it is. I mean, clearly, if you look at the Libyan army, there is 140,000 enlisted in the Libyan army throughout the whole country. The number of people who they are with Mr. Haftar, they will not exceed a few hundred.
Really?
This is, yes.
I don't think most independent military experts believe that.
No, I don't. Yes. A lot of people who they are fighting, they are really recruited from young people who have been trained for a week or two, and they are being pushed forward, and they have no experience. That's why they are really dying in the hundreds of thousands in that battle, unfortunately. These are our children at the end, and I hate to see any one of the Libyans being killed.
Libyans are being killed every day.
Unfortunately,
and I guess the most important, I mean, you've talked about Benghazi, where the fight is very active, but perhaps the most important front line, and this would certainly be the perspective of Western powers who look at Libya from the outside, the most important front line is perhaps Sirt, where so-called Islamic State has its stronghold, thousands of fighters, it is believed, and where on one side you now have Haftar's forces gathering to encircle the city, and on the other side you have forces, it seems, loyal to other militias, some of them Muslim Brotherhood related, some of them related to the government in Tripoli. But the point is, there's now a race, it seems, to try and liberate Sirt from Islamic State. But that isn't necessarily going to make Libya's problems any less serious, because you're going to then have a huge fight between the different militias.
Yeah. No, I think the real fight right now going on in Sirt, it is between the forces which are mostly from the city of Misrata, under the leadership of the council that Mr. Sarraj has formed, which is made out of military officers. And that fight is going on for the last
Well, frankly, they look like they're more loyal to themselves than they are to Prime Minister Sarraj, but let's leave that aside.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is the West wants to believe that somehow it can help Libyan forces liberate Sirt from Islamic State. The West obviously very worried about Islamic State strength inside Libya.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Do you think the West should be arming these different forces that are trying to take on Islamic State? Would that be wise?
I think Islamic State clearly is a danger to Libya and a danger to the world everywhere. And I think the people who can defeat it are Libyans. But again, it has to be a unified force under the government of national accord, and need support from the international community.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that there's no point us dealing in fantasy. Let's talk reality. The forces that are around Sirt and are trying to take on Islamic State are not united. There are many different interests involved. My question is this. John Kerry said the other day that, we must do everything we can to confront Islamic State in Libya.
Yes.
So would the West be wise to lift its arms embargo and send arms to the various different militias and fighters who are confronting IS in Libya today?
I think those who they are confronting it, at least from the west side of the country, they are under the leadership. They have accepted the leadership of those military people who they are the operation room that formed by Mr. Sarraj. And I think they will need all the support. It is not only really arms. They need also training, they need really logistics, they need intelligence to be able to do this fight.
They're getting that, aren't they? I don't know how you feel as a Libyan about the fact that there are hundreds, it seems, hundreds of Western special forces on your soil today. We know there are a significant number of Italians, we believe there are British and Americans. What can you tell me about their role?
I mean, their role, I know, because there is a group of them both in the east and the west. They were intelligence gathering. They are helping, their goal is when the battle will take place, they will be there to be able to help the Libyan people to defeat
So you want these forces, Italians, Brits, Americans, to actually go into Sirt, do you, alongside the Libyan fighters?
No, clearly I don't want them to fight. I just want them to provide the support that the Libyans, they need to fight this battle. I mean, I don't expect the Americans or the British or the Italians to fight our fight.
Well, what are they going to do then? I mean, they're just going to sit on the side and watch?
No, I mean, clearly, they help with the planning, they help with intelligence, they help with training for the people who are going to fight.
It seems to me, and I think the man appointed by Prime Minister Sarraj to be your sort of foreign minister has said that the problem so often in Libya over the last 5 years is that the West has looked through a very self-interested prism when it addresses Libya's problems. It worries about Islamic State and it worries about migration, which we can talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really consider the needs of Libya as a nation state. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
I don't think it is accurate. I think there is a lot of interest from the international community to see Libya as a stable country, because a stable Libya clearly can help in stabilizing the whole region. And also at the same time, because Libya is just exactly in the backyard of Europe. And any problems in Libya, especially instability, can spill over to Europe.
But even Barack Obama recently in an interview said that, you know, one of his greatest regrets was the failure of American and Western policy in Libya. He said, you know, we got distracted, the Brits got distracted, the French got distracted, and we never followed through after toppling Gaddafi.
Yeah, because they thought it will be easier for the Libyan people to be able to deal with it. But of course, we have the legacy of Gaddafi still there. And we could not be able to do that. And so I think, yes, there was no plan. What is the day after Gaddafi fails, from the international community to come and help the Libyans build institutions and be able to really to face all these challenges. So they thought as long as they brought Gaddafi down, then the next step, it's easier for the Libyans to take care of. But we could not.
Yeah, what would a coherent Western strategy toward Libya today look like?
I think it is coherent in the sense that clearly they need really to put a lot of effort in helping the Libyan to build these institutions, to help us to fight this against Daesh. This is a very, very essential. We have very serious problems in the country. We don't have Gaddafi. When he fails, the whole country collapsed. There is no institution built in there. And so that's why when you don't have institutions, you cannot execute any of these plans. And so there's a lot of training need to be done, a lot of help by expertise that will be able to be embedded with the Libyan institutions to be able to help us to overcome this challenge.
It is chicken and egg, though, isn't it? I come back to General Khalifa Haftar, yes, who hangs over this conversation because of his military strength, at least in the east of your country.
Yes.
I mean, he says, forget about all this talk of political rebuilding, of dialogue and institutions, until we've won the war. You know, so he says military solution first, and only then can we really talk about rebuilding the political stability of the country.
There is no military solution for Libya. Mr. Haftar cannot win a war in Libya if that's what he does. And I know that what he thinks that he'll be able to do. Because there is clearly, yes, he was because the East after the revolution was very different from what happened in the West. The revolution in the East lasted a few days, and then after that became stable. But while in the West, it took about 6 months to fight against Gaddafi. So that's where it happened that a lot of these militias had been formed during that. And so Haftar cannot take over Tripoli. He will really to be a massacre for that. And there is a lot of force they couldn't afford him. So really the only solution is a political solution. I know Haftar is there. He needs to be part of the solution. How are we going to deal with that?
So you, despite the fact earlier you said you'd like to see him on trial for war crimes, you think, quote you just now, he has to be part of the solution?
I mean, clearly we cannot just, we cannot remove him by a decision. I mean, the president cannot come out and say, okay, now Haftar has been removed and he will go. He will not go. Clearly he's there. But the solution that we need to do, I mean, where Mr. Haftar gets his support. Who is supporting Mr. Haftar? Who's arming Mr. Haftar? We know who it is. It is coming through Egypt. It is coming from other neighboring countries who they are supporting him.
Some of the Gulf states?
Yes, yes, especially the United Arab Emirates. Clearly they are supporting him there, and they have supported him continuously until then. Even though there is an embargo in Libya, and unless those countries will stop really intervening in Libya, there will be a problem.
Let's talk about one other specific aspect of the challenge you face, that is migration.
Yes.
You are the jumping off point for an awful lot of people from other parts of Africa who want to get into Europe, but also there are many, many Libyans who want to escape from your country because the situation is so dire, your economy is in meltdown, and you've got all of this violence as well. The agency Interpol has just said that they believe there may be up to 800,000 would-be migrants waiting in Libya to try to make the crossing into Europe. That's an extraordinary number. Do you think that's right?
I don't think the number is right. I mean, they're waiting. If they are waiting outside of Libya, that's different. But if they are in Libya, I know there is a lot of them in Libya. They are not clearly in the hundreds of thousands. There are in
But
Libya.
I think the implication is a lot of these people are Libyan. You know, there are many, many Libyans now who want to get out.